Hello and welcome.
To Wild Wiles Sports.
We're so excited to be back.
Mhm.
We didn't take quite as long of a break this time.
No, we didn't cover the All-Star break, and I think that's the most important break that everyone wants to talk about. No one's been able to stop talking about if you're on the socials at all. They're even talking about it on Good Morning America.
Mhm.
The All-Star game and the ensuing celebrations were pretty exciting. I
Mhm.
gotta admit, I was pretty enthralled,
We were pretty tuned in.
very much so.
Maybe not to the actual game, even though that was exciting. It was a game. It
Mhm.
happened.
There was some semblance of basketball.
Yeah.
Um,
Final score 151 to 131.
mhm.
That's a that's a little high.
Well, they had the 4-point shot,
This is true.
and zero defense,
Zero.
none whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
But you know what? The whole thing was so fun
Yeah.
from start to finish. Whether it was the skills contest, you got to give a lot of credit to the city of Indianapolis
Yep.
because they worked on it from the minute that they found out
Hmm.
that they were the host, which we should be hearing soon, who the
Who the
host for
next
next
one
year is.
is? See.
And the fan experience was had to have been incredible. We weren't
Hmm.
there, but from all accounts, it was a good time. A good time was had by all, particularly the players too.
If you didn't know, the All-Star Game had 2.2 million viewers. And I don't know how many people were watching the the extracurricular activities. I don't know how many total viewers there were.
Are we talking about the stud buds?
We're talking about everyone's favorite stud buds.
We have mentioned that we enjoy watching the stud buds who have
Hmm.
a Twitch. I now also am a Twitch follower because the stud buds, who is the pair from the Minnesota Lynx, the two guards, Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann, have been putting on a show all year, both on and off the court.
Hmm.
Those two are
Yep.
hilarious. And they just are completely themselves. None of it is scripted. And they have a great time. And then they have so many thousands and thousands of followers. They decided that once Courtney made the All-Star team, that they would stream for 72 hours straight.
Hmm.
And I thought that sounds like a bad idea. And then I found myself up at 2:30 in the morning just checking in on what are the stud buds doing? How's that party going? And sure enough, there'd always be something to watch. So there was you can get on TikTok and or probably any of the socials and see clips
Yep.
from the weekend because it was not without drama. And
No.
it was not without lots of fun.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think Cheryl Reeve made a really, really good point about it that I really appreciated, and she said that they're just being themselves, and there was a time even in this league in the WNBA where that wouldn't have been possible. They wouldn't have been able to do that. I mean, obviously they're um two I mean very outgoing women, and they're very confident in public about their identity as queer Black women, and that's something that they celebrate, and it hasn't always been the case. And so I think this is a really good sign that they feel so comfortable enough to do all this, and that it's being accepted so well.
It is being received very well because at any point during the weekend, on Twitch, you could see how many folks were watching.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be, between 12 to 18, 20,000. I bet it was more at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So Caitlin Clark said she watched it for 3 hours
Oh
straight
yeah.
before she even went to the party. And she
It
wanted to be
seems.
on the Stud Buds.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wanted to be on the Stud Buds unless or you were trying to hide from the students.
Yeah.
There were like two camps, people who wanted to be involved and get out there, and people who were like, oh God, what are they going to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know what they're going to say.
Seemed to be a big fan though.
He was a huge fan of the
Yeah.
stud buds. And so we got to see what all of them are like at a party.
Yeah.
We got to see all the ins and outs of the media time. So they're getting ready to be interviewed on ESPN. You're watching the stud buds, and then suddenly you look at the TV and they're on the TV. It's a kind of cool deal.
Yeah. Okay, something else that happened at the All-Star game is if you saw their warm-up shirts, or if you were listening to Kathy speak at the end of the game, you might have heard a chant coming from the crowd or a
Mhm.
sign held by Brittany Sykes.
Mhm.
Do you know what that was about?
I do know that what that was about. Thank you for teeing that up to me. So they are in CBA. The what does that even stand for?
A collective bargaining agreement.
Oh, of course. Okay. They are trying to work out a deal. And apparently, their talks that they had that morning of the All-Star game, which what a weird time to, you're having this celebration of look where we've really arrived. We've got thousands of people here. We've got millions of people on TV. We know that viewership is up by triple digits. We
Mhm.
know that revenues are, and there is a difference between profit and revenue,
Oh
people.
yeah. Let's go
That
back to econ.
right, where TV deals, $50 million a year for the next however many years, we're talking billions of dollars. The whole place, every there's three expansion teams next year, there's two for the following years. Everything is expanding.
Yeah.
And they decided to have their collective bargaining agreement conversation on the Saturday morning of the All-Star game.
I actually think it might have been a good time. And I think they started off on Thursday and then it didn't go well. So they had another meeting on Saturday. But it's a good time because it's one of the only times in the season during these negotiations that a lot of players get to be present
Okay, that's fair.
when they're
And
spread
if
out
they were
across
going
the
to be
country.
if they were going to be fair and it was going to be a celebration, then that makes sense. Uh,
But the fact that it didn't go well
that's
kind
really
of put a damper on the
that
weekend.
is unfortunate. And if I have to see, and I have to be reminded over and over again, and Elaine helps remind me that what you see on social media when people complain that they shouldn't be paid more is not where the vast majority of folks are. We're seeing like bitter, uh, misogynistic folks that are vocal online and maybe new to the whole scene in general. I think that the vast majority of the public would agree that if you are paying players 9% of revenue, when every other professional sports team down to the lowest of the low in the lesser leagues of football and baseball, at least 40%,
Yep.
then something is off.
Yeah.
And if we are going to pretend that the loss that the league is taking on does not benefit the overall tax picture for the NBA, well, that is really missing a major incentive that everyone has to move numbers around
Yep.
in order to avoid corporate tax.
Mhm.
So it's past time, and it's gonna get ugly if they don't address this. When
Yeah.
you have a league that two players started to play a completely different, 3-on-3, and you can start by paying everyone $100,000-$200,000 a year. You can have a $50,000 prize for a one-on-one tournament. Every player owns or has equity in the team that they're on. If they can do that day one,
Yeah.
then how can a league that's been around for 27 years, that has a parent organization and has $50 million a year coming in revenue, or excuse me, in a TV deal for years and years. Nothing is, why would the television stations want to invest in something that isn't growing by leaps and bounds?
Yeah.
Pay them what you owe them.
Yeah. I think if if you're a troll online or you're, maybe Kathy, and you are trying to paint this picture that the WNBA is some charity in some hole that they can't make money, you've either been misled or you're just simply being dishonest.
Right.
That is insane. Like we have all these expansion teams, and all these expansion teams have to pay an expansion fee.
Mhm.
And so the Golden State Valkyries paid $50 million to be a team. All these other expansion teams paid $250 million. We have, like you were saying, the TV deal that we've never seen before. And just there's all this growth. And then for the players to not see any benefit from any of that growth, it's just ridiculous.
Right. And you can't even so these players that would live in the major cities like, New York City, Atlanta, all of them, and you're coming in as a rookie and you're going to make $78,000. You can't really live there
Yeah.
very comfortably. That's and you're seeing, merchandise fly off the shelves. Your tickets, it's expensive to go.
Mhm.
It used to be really cheap.
It
I did
did.
like that
Yeah.
years ago. Took all the
Selfishly, as a fan, I don't like the prices, but
right. It's unfair, and I can't see how they can get past this without um coming to the table in good faith.
yeah, yeah. I think, we run the risk of a shutout of not playing some games that we're supposed to be playing if they can't get these negotiations under control. But if that happens, in my opinion, 100% of the blame goes on the WNBA.
100%.
These players should not fold. They should not stop until they get paid what they deserve.
No. 9% of revenue. If you're running a business, any business, you have to pay for labor and you have to pay for the product. They are both
Yep.
labor and product. And so that's easily 40% of your expenses. And right now, the WNBA gets away with spending 9% on the product and the labor, which are one and the same.
Yeah.
Unfair.
Unfair. But speaking of the product is back after the All-Star
Finally, that was
break.
hard. That
It was hard for
long.
us. They probably should have gotten a little bit more time.
That's true.
The NBA, so for the NBA All-Star break, they stopped playing games on either Wednesday or Thursday, can't remember. And then they, have that weekend off, and then nobody plays until like Wednesday or Thursday again. So they have a full week, and the WNBA is not getting that. And that's something that they'll talk about in the CBA negotiations is the scheduling and that kind of stuff. Something to keep your eye on is the 44 games in such a condensed amount of time.
Right. That's brutal. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know what you'd actually need to recover from a game, but I'm pretty sure that, back to back or 3 to 4 games in a week is quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is and youth sports are doing the same thing to players too, but guess what happens? Injuries.
Yeah.
And so why do we see so many injuries? Everybody wants to scream about the refs, and I agree. The officiating needs
Yes.
adjusting, and there needs to be consistency, right? But I think the biggest contributor to the amount of injuries that we're seeing is the lack of rest, and recovery time between games.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But for tonight, we are going to make our predictions. There's a lot of games tonight. There are 5.
Which we got 2 TVs set up. We're ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to go. All right. So I'm going to ask you for your picks, and then I'll give mine. Okay, first game of the night, the Los Angeles Sparks versus the Washington Mystics.
Mystics.
I got the Mystics too. I mean, they had, they had they ended up having 3 All-Stars. I really like how they've all been playing together, and I've been really surprised by them. I was not honestly expecting them to do so well this season, and Sparks have been struggling. Okay, Fever versus Liberty.
Liberty.
Yes, unfortunately, Caitlin is still out. Hopefully that she can get all of her leg injuries healed up soon, and I think that would go a long way for the Fever to not even just to have Caitlin. Obviously, to have Caitlin, you're going to be more successful, but to have consistency in their lineup. is going to do a lot for them.
Yep.
The Chicago Sky versus Minnesota Lynx.
The Lynx, and the Lynx will win. It will be tough. Is this one at at
I
Minnesota?
believe so.
It might not be tough. No, it depends. You know, the Sky got the Lynx in game before last. So they've played two kind of back-to-back games here recently. And the first night the Sky won, and then the Lynx came and said, you can't run that back. And I think it's gonna be Lynx again. I think it's gonna be Lynx the whole way. I was in
Ooh.
Costco. Can I just tell a quick little
Yeah, go
story
ahead.
for yeah, well. So I was in Costco, and this has happened to me before. Um, but it happened again. I don't know what it is about Costco, but I went in wearing my Lynx hat, and it was right after the All-Star game, and a guy stopped me. He said, Lynx, I love the Lynx. Did you catch the All-Star game? And I was like, of course, because that one from the Minnesota, she's so good. What's her name? I was like, Nafisha Collier. She's like, yeah, she's the best. They should win it all this year. I'm like, so this is just an old guy in Costco.
Mhm.
So it's big. You should make more than 9% of the revenue. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. The Atlanta Dream versus the Las Vegas Aces.
Dream.
I'm also taking the Dream. I don't really know what's wrong with the Aces. I haven't dissected their film a whole lot. I don't know why they're not doing better, but they have been struggling.
They have been, lineup changes matter. And so they traded Kelsey Plum, and
Mhm.
Jewel Lloyd is finding her way. I mean, I'd take Jewel Lloyd on my team, but it's stuff you can't just magically add someone, and it's a guarantee.
Good point. All right. Dallas Wings versus Seattle Storm.
Storm.
I'm gonna take the Wings on this one,
Okay.
just so I disagree on at least one, but I did see that Dejanay Carrington is finally available for a game
Okay.
back from her rib injury, and obviously Paige Becker is coming off of great All-Star performance. Being an All-Star starter probably boosted her confidence.
Probably.
So,
I hope everybody saw how Paige walked out, and the very first score of the game was Paige for 4.
yeah, I don't think she'll have a 4-pointer tonight, but I think she's gonna play really well, and I think they'll be able to take this upset.
Yeah, I agree. We gotta go.
We gotta go
Started.
catch these games.
Catch these games.
And we'll see you next time on Wild Wiles Sports.